You know what's interesting about budget action cameras right now? They're no longer trying to just be like cheap alternatives. They're starting to feel more complete as like actual products. And the SJCam SJ30 is one of those cameras where the moment I took it out of the box, I realized that this is not just another entry-level action camera trying to like cut corners everywhere, but at the same time, it's not perfect as well. And after using it in real-world situations, here are already a few things that stood out to me, both good and bad, that you should know. Let's check it out. So let's start with first impressions, because this is something I genuinely appreciate. This camera is essentially ready to go straight out of the box, which is something a lot of brands still overlook. You don't need to think about buying any extra accessories, and more importantly, you don't even need to worry about getting a memory card because one is already included. Well, at least mine came with one. So all you really need to do is just take it out of the box, charge it up, and you're ready to start shooting. And for beginners especially, that makes a big difference because it removes the initial friction and makes the whole experience feel much more approachable. The next thing that stood out to me is the build quality, because this camera feels more solid than I expected at this price point. If this thing looks pretty familiar to some other brands, it does. And the build quality actually is comparable because this thing is solid, everything is tight, and it's just very well built. So the overall construction feels very well put together, the materials don't feel cheap, and the buttons have very nice firm texture feedback when you press them. So it gives you the confidence that you can actually use this in the real world situations, whether that's mounting it on your bike or bringing it outdoors without constantly worrying about damaging it. It doesn't feel fragile, and more importantly, it doesn't feel like something you need to handle too carefully. So the screen is another area that this camera performs better than expected. It's sharp, clear, and easy to see, and the flip design does makes noticeable difference when you're trying to frame yourself, especially for vlogging or solo shooting. But beyond the screen itself, the field of view also plays a big role in how usable this camera feels. The 140-degree angle works really well for vlogging because it looks natural without introducing too much distortion. However, once you move into more action-heavy scenarios like biking or mountain biking, that's where the limitation starts to show. It simply isn't wide enough to capture both your handlebars, for example, as well as the trail ahead. So you end up having to choose between two, which can be a bit restrictive depending on how you plan to use it. When it comes to the interface and performance, this is where the camera starts to feel more like a budget device. The system works, but is not particularly fast, and you do notice a slight delay when navigating through menus or switching between settings. More importantly, there are no quick access controls, which means every adjustment requires you to go into a list-based menu system, scroll through options, and select what you need. It's functional, but it's not the most fluid or efficient experience. Another small detail that stood out to me is the sound design of the camera. The startup and shutdown tones have that very typical budget device feel, lacking refinement, subtlety, and it's really loud and sharp as well. Even the recording beeps are quite soft and not very distinct from each other, so if you're wearing something like a full-face helmet and you're having it in front of you, it becomes very difficult to tell whether you're actually started recording. That might seem like a small issue, but in real-world use, especially when you're out in the trails, and it's really hard to hear with stuff rustling around. The settings experience follows a similar pattern where everything is straightforward but not particularly seamless. You are mostly navigating through lists, selecting options, and moving in and out of menus, which works fine once you get used to it, but it does take a bit more effort compared to just, swiping from side to side to change your different options. That said, one area that genuinely surprised me is the exposure tuning. And on most action cameras, I usually default to underexposing slightly, typically around -0.5 or -1, just to preserve highlights. But on this camera, the default exposure at 0 is already very well balanced. In fact, when I tried to underexpose it out of habit, the footage actually became too dark, which tells me that this camera's default tuning is already quite accurate. However, this is also where one of the key limitations become noticeable, and that is dynamic range. When you move between dark and bright environments, the camera does struggle to maintain detail in both areas. For example, if you're riding from a bright fire trail into a dark shaded section, the darker areas tend to remain very underexposed and don't recover very well. Because of that, I found that if I knew I was going to be shooting in darker conditions, it was actually better to switch to the night vision camera from the start. Otherwise, the main camera tends to hold on to its exposure and doesn't adapt as effectively when lighting conditions change. Battery performance is also another area that feels a bit inconsistent for me. There were instances where I started with a full battery, recorded for about 10 minutes, and then saw it drop to around half. After letting it rest for a while, the battery level would go back up by 1 bar and then drop again once recording resumed. Since there is no percentage indicator and only a basic bar system, it becomes difficult to accurately gauge how much battery I actually have left. And in practice, the most reliable solution I ended up using is using the charging grip, which allows you to keep the camera powered externally and avoid worrying about battery fluctuations altogether. When you take everything into account, the overall experience of using this camera feels very practical. It is easy to get started, the build quality is solid, and the screen is reliable and sharp for everyday use, while the interface and controls are not the most refined. They are still functional enough that once you get used to it, the camera does become quite straightforward to operate. Now, when it comes to the image quality, there are a few important things to understand. The 8K mode, which is impressive on paper, is quite limited in actual use because it runs at 20 frames per second. As soon as you introduce some movement, for example if you're using it to walk around, the footage starts to show noticeable motion blur, which means that you're really not going to have any usable sharpness despite the higher resolution. In contrast, the 4K performance is where this camera really delivers. 4K at 60 frames per second looks sharp, it's smooth and detailed, and this applies across both lenses as well, and as long as you get the exposure right, the footage coming out of this camera can look genuinely impressive for its class. Based on everything so far, this camera is best suited for someone who wants a simple, affordable and reliable option. It works particularly well for beginners or casual users who want something they can pick up and start using immediately without needing to spend time setting things up every time. At the same time, it's important to understand its limitation, especially if you plan to use it for more demanding scenarios. As an overall package, the SJCam SJ30 offers a surprisingly solid experience. You get a good build quality, sharp and usable screen, and very good 4K footage all in a package that is easy to get started with. It's not without its flaws, particularly in areas like interface design, dynamic range, how wide the angle is, and the battery inconsistency that I face. But despite these shortcomings, it still manages to deliver an experience that is enjoyable and practical to use. And honestly, that's what makes this camera interesting. It doesn't try to do everything, it just focuses on doing enough things right to make it worth using. And if you enjoyed this video, do like and subscribe to the channel, and if you want more reviews like that, check out these reviews up here.